power to the children's message givers. I have gotten myself into some pretty tight scrapes when I'm trying to give the children's message at other places. The one thing I've learned is don't ask a question that you don't expect some kind of crazy answer. Luckily, there were no crazy answers except the garbage truck. I didn't understand the garbage truck. It's a privilege to be with you here this morning, and I bring you God's Word, and I hope that God will use me to maybe enlighten each and every one of us this morning. I'd like to start out with a story of a young woman that wanted to go to college. Some of you young ladies or young gentlemen out there are thinking about college, and of course, you have to fill out an application to apply to the college. And this young lady read one of the questions on the application, and the question was, "Are you a leader?" Well, she wanted to be honest, and she was also very conscientious, so she wrote down no. Sent the application in, expecting the worst, not expecting to be accepted into this college. To her surprise, several weeks later, a letter arrived from the college. She opened it up with trepidation. The letter said, "Dear applicant, a study of your application and all of the application forms reveal that this year our college will have 1,452 new leaders. And we are accepting you to our college because we feel that it is imperative that we have at least one follower." In the text this morning, Philip went to Nathanael, and he proclaimed that he had found the one whom Moses wrote about. He told him that he is Jesus of Nazareth. And while we don't know what expression Nathanael had on his face, we can maybe see in our mind's eye the expression he had when his response was, "Can anything good come from Nazareth?" You take notice what Philip's answer was. Come and see. Come and see. I believe the church as a whole has that very same problem, because you see, the church is full of those who are sure of themselves. We might even get to the point where we believe very little of what we are told. We sit back underneath the fig tree, just like Nathan, with this sneer on our face, and we ask, can anything good come from this church or this denomination or that denomination or this group or that group? People come in and out the doors of the church with a critical eye. Skepticism isn't a modern virtue. Doubting Thomases have been around since the dawn of time. And by nature, we as human beings want to be led. And we also want to lead. But in the church, it is imperative that we have followers. Matter of fact, it's imperative that all of us be followers. Nathanael learned that. He was skeptical at first, but he was transformed. He became a follower because Philip invited him. What do you think it is that Philip saw in Christ that moved him to follow, that stirred him so to invite his friend Nathanael? He said to him, "Come and see." Come and see what? What did Philip see in Jesus of Nazareth? I want to try to answer that question this morning. Come and see what? First thing, Philip asked Nathanael to come and see the souls redeemed. The day before, Andrew had followed Jesus and invited Peter. Then Philip invited Nathanael. And there were 8 others who would become Jesus' inner circle, 12 in all. And that was just the beginning. Soon there were 70, the scripture tells us, that comprised the outer circle. That net of redemption that was cast was large even in those early days of his ministry. And soon hundreds were following him. And by the end of the century, 500,000. And today, souls are being redeemed in South America and Africa at 10 times the rate of North America and Europe. And the church's work is not yet done. The church is exploding. Even though if you listen to the modern day media, they would tell you it's dying. But you see, it was Andrew who made that first invitation to his brother, and Philip who made the second to a friend. They were watching as people began to place their lives in the hands of this Nazarene. They listened as Jesus spoke to people in a way that made them understand their lives a whole lot better than they understood them themselves. They had seen souls redeemed just as they had seen their own redemption. So when Philip asked Nathanael to come and see, he knew Jesus would redeem him. Come and see, he said. Just come and see. That's all I ask of you. I know that everyone here believes that God can redeem a soul. I know. You believe that. And because of that, I ask you from this moment on to live like Philip. Go out and ask someone to just come and see. Invite them to Bible study. Invite them to Sunday school, worship, to a church activity. I like the story of two little robins. They were sitting up in a tree one day, and the one said to the other one, said, "I'm really hungry." The second one said, "Me too. Let's fly down and find us something to eat." So they flew down to the ground. They find this nice plot of ground that had just been plowed up, and it was full of worms. And they ate, and they ate, and they ate, and they ate. And they couldn't eat anymore. How many of you have felt like that over the holidays? Me too. The one robin said to the other one, he said, "I'm so full, I don't think I can fly back up to the tree." And the other one said, "Me either." He said, "So let's just lay here and bask in the warm sun after our meal." First robin said, "Okay." So they plopped down and they're lying there basking in the sun, and no sooner had they fallen asleep, here come a big fat cat. Snuck up and gobbled them up. After he ate them, he was sitting there washing his face and his paws, and he thought to himself, "I love Baskin Robbins." I'm sorry, it was a bad joke. We will be people who have eaten so much of God's good food that we want to sit back and bask. But we need to invite others. Will we go out of our way to say to people, "Come and see. Come and see." That's all I ask, just come and see. And you will learn that something good can come from Nazareth. Wouldn't it be a wonderful thing if each one, at least once a month, invited another person to come and see? Wouldn't it be wonderful? Come and see. That's all I ask, just come and see. Become a natural, wouldn't come and see be great if that would become a natural part of our life and our relationships. Not just with family and friends, but strangers. People at work. The second thing that Philip asked Nathanael to come and see was lives transformed. Frederick Buechner was a well-known Christian author and Presbyterian minister. But as a young man, before he got into the ministry, he was in the army. He was sitting in Anniston, Alabama, on a training mission, in the dead of winter, eating supper out of his mess kit. They were out on bivouac. Cold, drizzle, rain. Everything around him was muddy. The sun had gone down and was starting to get really cold. When he finished what he had to eat, he found he was still hungry, and he noticed one of his fellow soldiers right close by had something left over that he wasn't going to eat. It was a turnip. And he asked him, he said, could he have it? The man says, yeah, I ain't eating that thing. That's probably what I would have said. I'm not eating that thing. So he tossed it to him. Well, Frederick missed. It fell in the mud. But he was so hungry and he wanted it so badly, he picked it up and he started eating it anyway. Mud and all. And then he said he had a transforming moment. He said, as I ate that turnip, time deepened and slowed down again. With a lurch of the heart that's real to me still, I saw suddenly, almost as if from beyond time altogether, that not only was the turnip good, but the mud was good too. Even the drizzle and the cold were good. Even the army that I dreaded for months was good. He said, sitting there in that Alabama winter with my mouth full of cold turnip and mud, I could see at least for a moment how if you ever took truly to heart the ultimate goodness and joy of things, even at their bleakest, the need to praise someone or something for what it would be, so great that you might even have to go out and speak of it, even to the birds of the air. Philip had his moment. That moment I like to call his muddy turnip moment. He had that moment with Jesus when he was transformed. A moment where joy flooded into his world and made him want to go out and speak to someone. And he found his friend Nathaniel. And I think maybe we can kind of understand Nathaniel's skepticism. I mean, just look at what Philip's asking him to believe. He says to him, I have found the one that Moses wrote about in the law and the one the prophets foretold. Sounds a little too good to be true, doesn't it? So we can't really fault Nathaniel. Jesus doesn't. Because when he meets Jesus, Jesus recognizes his doubt and he helps him along. And that's when Nathaniel was transformed. Jesus said, I saw you while you were under the fig tree before Philip called you. And when Nathaniel heard that, Jesus had his attention. Grabbed a hold of him. And he said, Rabbi. And this is Nathaniel's muddy turnip moment. Rabbi, you are the Son of God. You are the King of Israel. There was more to come. Jesus said to him, you believe because I told you I saw you under the fig tree. You're going to see greater things than that. What he was telling Nathanael was, come and see. So I ask, just come and see, and you will learn that something good can come from Nazareth. The third thing that Philip asked Nathanael to come and see. Come and see the heavens opened. Come and see the angels of God ascending and descending on the Son of Man. Those are the words of Jesus to Nathanael. And as he and the other 11 disciples spent the next 3 years living and ministering with their master, they saw the heavens open. When Jesus was baptized, they saw the heavens open. When Jesus was transfigured, they saw the heavens open. When he fed the 5,000. When Lazarus was raised from the grave. When Jesus died, the heavens closed and grew silent. But the stone, that stone, the heavens opened and the stone was rolled away. And then when Jesus stood before the disciples behind that locked door, they saw the heavens open and the Lord redeemed that day. Redeemed you and redeemed me. And he will redeem all those that we invite to come and see. I want to close with a story about a man with 2 umbrellas. Dr. Gordon Taggerson was a Baptist pastor in Massachusetts many years ago. And he was crossing the Atlantic on a ship. And he noticed, as he walked the decks, that he saw this dark-skinned man sitting in a deck chair reading a Bible. Every time he walked by, he was reading the Bible. So one day the doctor sat down beside him and he said, "Forgive me, sir, for my curiosity, but I'm a Baptist minister and I noticed that you're a faithful Bible reader. And I'd like to talk to you about that and come to know you." The dark-skinned man said, "I am Filipino. I was born into a good Catholic home. I went to the United States as a young man to study in one of your fine universities. And I intended to become a lawyer. On my first day on campus, one of the other students dropped by to visit me. And he welcomed me and offered to help me in any way that he could. And then he asked me where I went to church, and I told him that I was Catholic. And he said to me that the Catholic Church was quite a distance away from my dorm, but he sat down and he drew me a map as to where it was. He said I thanked him, and he left. Following Sunday, it was raining. And I decided, it's a long walk. I'm going to skip church today. But then came a knock on my door. There stood my new friend. And he was holding 2 umbrellas. He said that he worried that I might not be able to read the map that he had written for me, so he would escort me to the Catholic Church. He said, so I hurriedly got dressed and thinking all the while, what an unusually thoughtful person. I wondered what church he belonged to. So as we were walking, he said, I asked him about his church. And he said, well, my church is just around the corner. He said, so I suggested that we go to his church this Sunday and then to mine the following Sunday. And he agreed. But he said, somehow, I felt so much at home in his church that I really never got around to going to mine. After 4 years, I felt that God was leading me into the ordained ministry rather than into law. So he said, I went to Drew University Seminary and was ordained a Methodist minister. Then I returned to the Philippines to serve in a Methodist parish. He was actually the bishop of the Methodist Church in the Philippines. The hero of this story is not the bishop, important though he was. The hero is that anonymous young man with 2 umbrellas. Whether they ended up at the Methodist or the Catholic Church doesn't really matter. You go all the way back to the beginning of Christian history and you'll always find him. He's behind almost every Christian convert. That unnamed man or woman with 2 umbrellas. That person with a faith who builds a bridge of friendship with another person. And across that bridge walks the living Christ and claims another soul. We can be that person with 2 umbrellas. We can be like Philip. Come and see. That's all I ask. Just come and see, and you will see that something good can come out of Nazareth. Amen.